Hey guys, I'm back with a great episode. This is your host Charlie, and this is Crown and Compass. So let's get into this. All right. So today's episode is going to be leading while healing, and we're really going to try to understand some things and really kind of figure out our mindset and deal with our emotions as we try to move forward and be that strong, safe, secure um, leader we need to be. Right, our service that we give. So welcome back, and here we're going to be talking about our leadership and how it starts within us. So it's this episode's for anyone who's ever said, "How can I lead others?" Or even if like what I'm going through doesn't qualify me as a leader, right? But what does? What are the qualifications? And how do we know this? Like how do we stand up when there are other things that say or even show us that we can't, right? And our life doesn't really all kind of add up. And it feels like we might be living a lie, so to speak. But we have to have faith and we have to trust, but we also have to be creating something from within um, as everything has to really kind of come together fully, right? We're still growing, so to speak. But we all are. No one's ever really arrived. So what qualifies us? But I'm also still trying to heal, right? And how does this happen? How do we do it? So we're going there though. We're going there to really understand how we lead even as we're healing. So, because real leadership isn't just about strategy. It's not just about a plan happening because like what happens when shit hits the fan, so to speak. So it's about our soul work. It's about how do we align ourselves to a sense of safety and security so that we can be safe and secure and be whole from the inside out and create from something within. It's about mindset. It's about a heart renewal, a soul alignment with God, right? Or that sense of source of love and truth, because love and truth have to exist at the same time together. Or else what is one without the other? It's a narrow line. It's very thin. But I feel like we have to maintain something, right? Or at least struggle to keep on that path, right? If we're steering a boat, right? And we might get off. So let's grab our coffee. Let's take a breath. Let's ground ourselves. And let's talk about leading while healing. So, Right. Emotional intelligence changed the game for me. I was very ignorant. I was very unaware of things. I people would bring attention to things to me, and even life, the situations and circumstances would bring attention to me, but I wasn't looking. I was very prideful and egotistical. I took the easy way out, so to speak. I didn't apply pain in a loving way for myself or even for others, so I couldn't change, correct anything, or repent. I couldn't turn from my ways. My suffering was, I fought it. I was a hardcore thinking I have to do everything. I want to fight. I want to pick up this battle. I want to put on the gloves. I want to carry all the weight. And it led to burnout, right? And ultimately, I couldn't submit to anything. I couldn't surrender to anything. I couldn't yield or even obey, right? And as a leader, we do have to lead properly, and that's service. So if I'm constantly dictating things and not listening enough, I'm failing because I'm not taking care of the people who actually matter around me. And then the sacrifices. If I think of everything as a selfish sacrifice, then that's going to spread hate and ultimately mess up the culture around me of the people that are around me, and they have to deal with me. So a leading, selfless, loving sacrifice is more about service. It's more about how I can lay something down to help others and how I can give others time and attention for what they need. But in love, right? Because I just can't love myself too much. It has to be about self-love and grounding to be there for others. And then there is uncomfortability. Sometimes we have to have uncomfortable situations, moments, and experiences so that we can lead people into truth, but we can also be led ourselves into truth and acknowledge things that might not feel good at first. So I used to lead from that performance perfectionism. I had to make everything right, people pleasing. I wanted to do it, but I was only trying to get validation and approval for myself. I wasn't trying to help others specifically what they needed. I wasn't being attuned and actively listening and asking questions back. I thought being on all the time was strength. I thought having it all together was strength. I thought literally not appearing weak or looking dumb or looking foolish was strength. I thought that no one could see me this way. But I think it's the fact that people see us this way and how we handle it and lead through it and go through it is what leadership is. Because we all need that. We all need to know that it's not about performance and burnout and just maintaining a status quo. It's about a relationship and how we all can work together to do this. And we need compassion and empathy. And that leaves room for other people to step up and be leaders themselves. Because if I'm just looking to be a leader my entire life and make it all about me, then I want the spotlight constantly. So we need to make sure we're being aware and acknowledging these things because, like, what's the truth? What is the truth of the situations we're in, and how do we always know that? It requires trust. Because Proverbs 3 5 through 6 says, "Trust in the Lord in all your ways, and he will set your path straight. Lean not on your own understanding." Because what we understand to be true sometimes is just our lack of introspection to see true. So when I learned to understand my emotions and own them, I started leading from a presence, a sense of being present with not just myself, but with others. It wasn't about me. There was no pressure. Why did I feel pressure? I became more patient, more discerning, more and way more compassionate, right? I could sit with someone and truly understand them because I had broke down my own feelings, and now the passion and the purpose was from breaking down the pain I knew and I could relate with. Emotional intelligence taught me you can't lead people well if you don't even understand yourself. It's not soft, it's not extra, it's essential. It is crucial, it is foundational, and everything compounds upon that thing. So the blocks I had to break, the things I had to overcome, this is realness. Let me be real with you. The biggest thing I had to confront myself wasn't a leadership style, it was a lie. I wasn't that kid no more. I wasn't that child that needed to be saved. I wasn't that child that was scared. I wasn't that child that had to run to mommy and daddy. I was the adult. I was the person that had to overcome and confront the things, but I had to be the thing I needed. I had to realize that I had abandoned myself. I had rejected myself. I had neglected myself. So, how do I deal with my childlike self that's scared of who I am and had become? The lie that I wasn't enough. The lie that I was just an invisible hero. Seen, not seen, heard, validated, appreciated, felt, approved of, acknowledged, told that it's okay, told I love you and I see you. Because I might have been told that maybe a couple times here and there, but it wasn't real. It didn't feel genuine. It didn't feel real. It felt like manipulation. It felt fake. Because it's like, I'm not smart enough. I'm not spiritual enough. I'm not strong enough. I don't have enough faith. You can't do this. You can't do that. But that voice comes from the childhood wounds that I had, the past rejection, the religious shame, the lack of relationship with my spiritual father in heaven to know who he truly was so that he could reveal more of who I actually was, an innocent, vulnerable, loving child that deserved love and was valuable. And that followed me into every leadership role I stepped into, or even anything that I chose to do moving forward, because I'm telling you right now that it's going to take time. It's a process, it's rest that we need to move forward. We can't constantly win every single battle because the war is what matters. The ultimate outcome, the destination of the purpose that we have through our pain and suffering, which leads us to better sacrifice and uncomfortabilities to grow. It's a repetitious cycle that we have to deal with. So I overcompensated by hustling harder and shrieking smaller at the same time until one day I had to ask, am I leading from identity or insecurity? Why do I have to make things so personal? Why do I have to carry this weight? Why am I carrying this weight? What makes me have to carry this weight or feel like I have to? And that's where the healing began. And healing didn't make me weaker as a leader. It made me wiser. It made me have more peace. It made me understand that it's okay to cry. It's okay to not be okay. And this is why most leaders avoid this mindset of work. And we have to ask, why do most leaders skip mindset work? What is it that we just answered, so to speak? What's that untangible thing that makes so much sense? Because it's uncomfortable. It's slow. It's a process. It's messy. It's hard. And it's not perfect. It doesn't always show up on a spreadsheet. You can't slightly calculate it. You can't analyze, logically reason it, and it's definitely not something you can totally understand or even have all put together in a perfect package. But unhealed mindsets leak. They leak into how you communicate, how you handle conflict, how you treat your team, and how you treat yourself. The way you respond. Out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks, and you have to protect and guard your heart because everything you do flows from it. So, how are we responding? What are the ways? And whenever we're asked questions or we're faced with issues and obstacles, why do we get triggered? Why do we become so reactive? What happened to initiate this explosion, this countdown of it's about to go off? So, how do we start the work? How do we grab ourselves and ground before things explode and it gets out of hand and proportioned? So, we have to start by paying attention, acknowledgement, awareness, asking questions. Questions are so important. And yes, answers are important, but the right questions are what matter because that determines mindset. It determines how you're viewing it, the purpose, and what you're actually seeking. Because if you're seeking something, you ask questions. If you're assuming something and you're dictating something to make a statement to be true, that's a claim. That is an assumption. So, why did I react like that? What was my pain trying to show me? Why did I get angry? And just off the top of my head, I know that there's at least 17 sublying factors to anger. And there's even more that determine the situations and scenarios about how that can affect us. What fear is driving this decision? Why am I scared? Why am I upset? Why can't I acknowledge this? What is it trying to show me? Because not understanding something is literally the fact that we don't know our own subconscious, and that has to be made and brought into the conscious, right? And we can't just be led by ignorance because God's trying to lead us into truth, love, and understanding, but there's sub requirements, so to speak, right? The fear of the Lord, knowledge of the Holy One, intimacy with God, having a relationship with our Father, right? Because how can we become to acknowledge or even aware or accept or receive something from a Father that we aren't attuned to? Or because I mean, He's attuned to us, but how do we know He's attuned to us if we're not present or if we're distracted and not trying to understand or even asking the right questions? Whose voice am I trying to please? Is it the internal critic from my childhood? Because actually, did you know this? That science has even studied this, that there's our little childlike nature of our childlike self, the things from our childhood is in our central nervous system. And this is how trauma plays a big role in our own identity. And it's brought out into our daily lives as an adult. And that's crazy because Jesus said in order to enter the kingdom of heaven, we have to be childlike. What does that mean? And that was 2,000 years ago. And I think it's really hard to wrap your mind around the fact that, like, as an adult, I have to be childlike. And we need to make sure that we don't place an assumption on what that might mean and we seek it out deeper. Because if we just label something and then move on and place something on it like we know what it means already, then we can't be curious about it. So get curious. Get real because your leadership won't grow past the mindset that keeps you stuck. So, a healthy internal life doesn't mean you're perfect. It means you're aligned. It means you know who you are and who you're not. It looks like quiet confidence, humility, and not always having to have the answers. Just maybe asking better questions and allowing room for other people to have the spotlight, to grow and to build something and build skills, right? True leadership doesn't always have to have the spotlight or recognition. It's not about loud insecurities. True leadership, boundaries without guilt, manipulation tactics and deceit to make someone do something just because I said so, because it needs to be done. It has to be done, the status quo. And then it's leading from peace, not panic, not hurry, hustle, rush. Better plans, actual acknowledgement, actual effort, time, and attention because things matter. It's not that I'm just ready for the weekend. And that can be hard, you know. I mean, we all need rest and time apart, but it's it's everyone working together because it's going to take time. It takes time for people to see this and to build this kind of culture. It takes effort because people need to know you care, but how can people trust you care? It means taking time to rest, knowing when to unplug, and choosing integrity over the image. I choose to do what's right, regardless of how I'm going to look, or even care about others, regardless of how I look, even if it doesn't seem right every single time. You can't fake internal health, it leaks through the cracks. It shows up in how you lead, love, and live. So if you're leading while still healing, I want to encourage you today because I need encouragement, but we all need encouragement, right? Everyone needs to hear some type of, you got this, right? You don't need to be finished to be effective. You don't need to be flawless to be faithful. What do you need? And what you do need is the willingness to grow, the willingness to see things differently and be curious, the willingness to confess and repent, the wisdom to pause, ground, self reflect, and leave room for God to have a voice, and the courage to lead with transparency, not trauma. Because I understand sometimes wounds still hurt, but scars build who we are and how we've overcome battles, and the battles to come. Because your scars don't disqualify you, they qualify you to show others what healing looks like. You're not leading from weakness, you're leading from a breakthrough. And that's what this world needs. Better examples, better representation, especially if we say we believe what we believe. Why can't we do something at least similar? Why can't we help? Why can't we love? Why can't we give what other people need? Because there has to be some type of tangibility about a practicality of something. Why, why can't we do it? Why can't we have dominion and multiply? Why aren't we maturing in our identity of what the kingdom is to come? Why can't we do God's will on earth? And if we pray this, what does that look like and how can we achieve that? Without taking a sense of loving of self and a prideful and egotistical standpoint of I know more than God. It's about knowing who our Father is and where our strength comes from. That's the most important thing. So this is what Crown and Compass is all about. helping leaders rise with authority and direction, not from hustle, not from like having to make it happen, bolstering through, running through like a bull in a china shop to make things happen and to show who has the authority and power, but from healing. So here's the reminder I'd like to finish off with. You carry a crown, walk in that authority. Let God give you the authority and let the process happen. Be present. And you hold a compass at your heart. Follow it with courage and be someone after God's own heart. We are human beings made in his image. You're not behind, you're becoming because you're being something. So let's be who we're meant to be. Pick up the purpose, pick up the calling. And don't forget, we're doing this together. Be sure to like, subscribe, and share this with a leader who needs it. And guys, I'll see you next time because until next time, stay grounded in grace, guided by truth, and led by the one who crowns you with purpose. And this is Crown and Compass, where your healing leads you home. Thank you, guys. If you liked it, share it, comment, subscribe. Let me know if this affected you in any type of way. And we're doing this together, guys. I'll see y'all next time.